My next guest, that's right, a two-time Super Bowl winning back who spent 5 seasons in the NFL with the Patriots, the Rams, the Dolphins, and the Chargers. Please welcome Mr. Fly Guy, Sony Michel.
How you doing? How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing great, man. Blessed, in a good place, happy. Can't really complain.
You know, I gotta say, it feels like just yesterday I was on that Good Morning Football set, and Stacy sent me your first edition signed jersey when you were a rookie, and then you're with the Rams, you win 2 Super Bowls, and you announce your retirement. Like, take me into, just tell me why you retired, Sony.
It was time. When you know, you know. And I think a lot of people can attest to that in life. You got choices. Sometimes some choices are harder than others. Sometimes choices are easier than others. And for me, I think I was walking away from this game with a clear heart, with a humble heart, knowing it was my time. I laid it all on the field. I'm able to walk away from this game excited what I put on the field, excited what I did on tape, and most importantly, excited about my impact that I left behind.
Now, when I have to make a decision, I'm calling everybody. I'm calling people who have to do with it. Like, I would call the NFL players, coaches. Like, who did you sort of talk to as you came to terms with that decision?
So in this process, I was talking to my fiance throughout the whole process, just kind of getting her take on things, telling her where my heart was, where my head was. Talking to my trainer back at home, Mike Smith. Those were the 2 people that I really leaned on making this decision. And, I just came to the conclusion that, on 3rd day of training camp that, this might be it. This might be time for me to be able to just hang up the cleats.
How much did injuries play into it, Sony?
Injuries, I would say injuries was more something that was on in a rearview mirror, something that I, kind of dealt with in the past for the most part. Because I had 2 fairly seasons being quite healthy. Now, I can say that I don't have to worry about being injured anymore. I don't have to worry about waking up sore anymore as much as I used to. But for me, I just felt like I had a bigger calling. There was more that needed to be done off the field, and I feel like that was very important to me. That was heavy on my heart. There's things that I want to do that I felt like is needed besides football.
I love that we hear players talking about that a lot, and they think about even while they're playing in their prime, which you could, 5 years in, you could still keep going. There's bigger things. What are those bigger things, Sony? What do we have to look forward to?
Some of the bigger things, there's so much, we'll be here all day. But the best way to describe it is impact. My vision is how can I impact the younger generation? How can I impact, the youth? And I think that's the most important part because they are the future. I think for myself, I got to get in the community more. Yes, I could have done that playing football, but I really want to focus on just, being in the community, being near those guys, not being untouchable. I want to be just another person to, athletes, students, anybody that I can impact. I would love to just be able to be there and hopefully, just be some form of a guide.
Sony, you make it sound like it wasn't a hard decision.
It was a hard decision from the aspect of walking away from something, that's been my identity for so long. I've been a football player. I've been an athlete for so long that, now, I can just be Sony. I can be Sony. I can just, go and really chase my dreams. Sometimes, we have dreams and football was my dream. Mm-hmm. And I was able to accomplish that. I'm blessed to be able to accomplish that. But now there's other goals, and I want to be able to put my full focus on those other goals. And I've always told myself, man, if I put my focus the same way I focus on football, all this energy that I'm pouring into football, if I can pour that into something else, how far can I go? And, that's the quest that I'm on right now.
I love hearing that. I loved hearing the story of you, making that decision, which you're saying was a little tougher than even though you knew and you're very driven. I know you're very faith-driven as well. To have that group of people in the airport sort of be there right at the right time. Like, what did that feel like? And sort of explain what happened. You saw these, was it a choir?
So it was a group of church members.
Wow.
I won't necessarily say choir, but I was dropping off my rental car at the airport, carrying these 2 bags. It's like, this is everything I brought to LA with the training camp. And I'm jumping on a shuttle that's going from Enterprise to the terminals. And one gentleman started talking to me, and he was just kind of like, hey, what are you doing here? And then I was kind of just like trying to give him, as little as possible without blowing who I was, and just kind of wanted just to lay low in the moment, kind of take everything for myself. But he was kind of like fishing a little bit. And then, I was being honest with him. He was like, what are you doing here in LA? And I was like, I'm working, I play football. He's like, for who? And I was like, LA Rams. And then he automatically knew, Sony Michel. Boom. And then it was just an awesome moment because we were having, good talks. It was about 7 of them. We were just all throwing back different, topics and conversations about just my journey. And then they just asked me, hey, can we just lay our hands on you and pray? I was like, I would love that. And, in the moment they were praying, all I could think about is look at God's work. As I exit one journey, enter into another one, I'm almost, this is fate. This is supposed to be happening. And I knew in that moment, I made the right decision.
That's a really beautiful story. It's so powerful to even hear you retell it. You sort of light up, and I can't wait to see. I know you'll make an impact. I can't wait to see it. You're talking to your fiance a lot. I was just curious because when I was thinking, man, if I was making that decision, who would I talk to? And Todd Gurley was in sort of a similar circumstance. Did anything he did by example or by advice help you in the process?
100%. Todd was a great helping hand throughout my full time, my 2.5 years in LA. I leaned on him. And he was one of the first people I texted. When I was on that bus, I texted him. I said, I'm done.
Wow.
And the first thing he said was, congratulations, man. Welcome to the other side. But he's always just been so, he's just got this presence about him. And anybody that knows him personally, they know, like, this man is so genuine. He's bigger than just Todd Gurley, the football player that everybody knows. He's a very genuine person. I think he's a great person to lean on, and I'm glad I kind of leaned on him throughout my journey in football.
So you retire. You're on a rental car, 2-time Super Bowl champion, Sony Michel, on a rental shuttle, texting Todd Gurley, I'm done. He's receiving you on the other side of that. And then you have a group of churchgoers putting this was on the bus?
100% on the bus. Todd Gurley shot Todd Gurley a text, shot Nick Chubb a text, and they're texting back. And it's just like, these are my guys. So I'm like letting them know what's happening, what's about to break news. Just giving a heads up. And it's almost like a laughing moment because this is like,
yeah,
this is a big stepping stone. But, it was great to share that moment with those guys.
It is. And, that was your text in the whole group chain of 2014. That's the Georgia running back room, right? It was stacked. And if I think about it, you, Nick Chubb, Todd Gurley, could you ever have imagined that, back in 2014, that all 3 of you would go on to achieve what you did? And then tell me a little something, give me a little something about your expectations for Nick Chubb, who's the last man standing, because I think there's a case to be made for him to lead the league in rushing this season.
Best running back in the NFL. And people that are watching this, they know it. I mean, he puts on like phenomenal years back to back to back. His numbers are incredible. Who he is, his character is incredible. He doesn't change. He's the same guy. Like, if you watch him, his socks are on the same way every game. So this dude is like very like on a line. But this is a great person, good friend of mine. And one thing I'm excited about this year is getting my Nick Chubb jersey, putting it on, and going to Cleveland to support him. I think that is like on my checklist this year, like going to a game at Cleveland Browns.
Wait, I love that. I love that, and I need to see selfies and pictures of you there. Is that the best running back group in college history?
Yes.
Go on.
Yes. Arguably, yes.
Like who?
And it's a close second with Alabama. Close second.
I think y'all might have had it though.
We definitely had it. It's 1 and 2. Georgia #1, Alabama #2. Like, look at that running back room right there.
It's
like,
pretty crazy. Yeah, that's crazy. And I'm just thinking, just where you were. What a crazy draft class back in 2014. That was absolutely insane. And I want to talk to you a little bit about New England. They add, maybe you'll add a little analyst sprinkle into your future plans and goals. I would love to see that. They add Zeke Elliott. How do you feel about the fit?
Love it. New England Patriots are known for running the football. I started my career there, running the football, and they allowed me to get a great jump start on my career. Was able to run the ball a lot. Even though it's a different offensive coordinator, they're still gonna depend on the run game. You run the ball first. You got to establish the running game to establish the identity, the physical, the toughness. And Zeke, he's one of the top backs in the league right now. Still to this day, I have this argument all the time. He's still probably top 7.
Wow.
Top 7 running back. A lot of people was giving him a lot of slack for, what happened the past couple years. Oh, he's not the same Zeke. This dude was going still for 1,000 yards and he's still not the same. Like, he probably dropped off 200 yards and people were saying he fell off. Oh, he's not the same. He's the same Zeke. And now he's probably hungrier than ever on a different team, fresh start, with a little bit of, with some help. Mondre, I've seen that guy in person. I've seen that guy work in practice.
Yeah.
They have a great running back room. They got some other guys in that room that can complement those guys, and I'm excited to see what they put together.
I know what you're saying, but I feel for Ramondre, don't you? You know what this is like. This team.
No, they need each other. They need each other.
Okay.
You know me, I love some good competition, right?
Yeah.
Because Mondre is going to keep Zeke on top of his game, and Zeke's going to keep Mondre on top of his game. So,
Mondre doesn't need anybody to keep him on his game. Now I'm calling him Mondre. I've never called him it ever. Ramondre Stevenson had almost 1,500 yards last year. They take you with the highest draft pick, and they still stick you in a committee. Like, don't you empathize? Like, I feel bad for Mondre.
No, we just going to get better. He's only going to get better by having another great running back next to him.
Let him shine. No, I want to Zeke's had his chance to eat. Like you said, it's been let Mondre shine. No.
I'm a New England fan. They drafted me. They allowed me to fill my dream. They started it off. They got me the jump start. Listen, we're trying to win. We want the best players in that locker room. And by having those 2 guys in the running back room, what better way to kick off the season with 2 horses ready to eat?
Yeah, that's true. But then, I mean, you got to tell me, you probably feel for the whole running back position. You're seeing what's going on. I had Antonio Gibson on my show, and he said, I played wide receiver in Memphis. I should have stayed playing wide receiver at Memphis. Melvin Gordon, who has a lot of success in the National Football League and, of course, in college, he said, I would rather play wide receiver. How do you feel about it? If you were to do it again, would you have chosen a different position?
No, I would have still played running back. Now, it is easier to say, like, oh, yeah, I would have wanted to play DN, but I ain't got that standing outside linebacker body type. But speaking of the running back position, I do believe, this whole conversation has just kind of just been, tough. And it's kind of sad for the position because it's so degraded. And I had this conversation with so many people, from coaches, just to get different perspectives. And thinking about the overall idea of the position, and people are saying how easily replaceable it is, and kind of like I would say, my name kind of gets brought up on why do you need to pay a running back when you got a guy like Sony Michel who's not getting paid as much, but winning Super Bowls. My take on it is, pay the running backs what they're worth. I'm not saying pay a running back for 4 or 5 years. If the concern is longevity, give me 2 years. Give me 3 years, but give me every single dime that I'm worth.
100%.
Nothing less, maybe nothing more, but give me everything that I'm worth.
That's exactly right. You got to get paid, putting yourself in the best position to make as much up front. I think the contract should be shorter. The rookie years, all of that. Let you negotiate, let you be at the table with these running backs. I think that's great advice. Now, really quick before I let you go, did Bill Belichick text you to wish you a happy retirement?
He didn't yet because Bill is such a, once the season starts,
Okay.
once training camp starts, he's locked in.
Yeah.
Bill is locked in. People on the early mornings on that treadmill, flipping those pieces of paper, writing his notes, it's an action. So I know he's locked in. But he did, not too long ago, pretty late, but did congratulate me on my second Super Bowl.
Got it.
But,
He'll get to it. He'll get to it. He's in the lab. He's in the lab. Listen, let me be the first to say, or not the first, I won't be the last certainly, or the first, to just say, it has been a pleasure to talk to you in the small times that I've been able to. You didn't get to talk much when you were in New England, but we saw what you did on the field. I've heard a lot about the kind of guy you were in the locker room, everywhere you were. So congratulations on the Super Bowls, on the achievements, and on making a very brave decision to make more of your platform than what some people would say, I could just do this for as long as my body will let me. So congrats to you. We're wishing you all the best in retirement, and please come back soon, okay?
Thank you. I appreciate it.
And congrats to you on your engagement, on all the things that are happening for you, and to Nick Chubb, who will lead the league in rushing, and Zeke Elliott, who's going to snag 11 touchdowns and leave Ramondre with just 2. That's what I think is going to happen. Hey, thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest Up and Adams content right on YouTube.